The Lord from Heaven. Title page. Preface. Chapter 1 Introductory, the Question and Issue. Professor Harnack quoted the divinity of Christ is now admitted, but his deity is denied. Rana quoted the Tübingen school. The Schmiedel school. The New Testament teaches the deity of Christ. The crucifixion proves that the Lord laid claim to deity. That answer made by Unitarianism. Chapter 2 The meaning of Son. In Scripture. Ordinary meaning of the word. Its figurative meaning. The distinction between son and child, ignored in Authorized version. The Christian as such is a child, but is not called a son. Illustrative passages cited. Personality of the Apostle John. Meaning of Barnabas' name. Chapter 3 The Son of Man. Meaning of that title. The Lord's use of it connotes a heavenly glory. It does not refer to his human birth. As Son of Man he is Lord of the Sabbath, forgives sins, and has all judgment committed to him. How and when we shall see God. Chapter 4 The Son of God. Christ the mystery of God. An incident in the French Chamberlain unscriptural definition of the sonship, the only begotten Son. Meaning of the term, and its use in Scripture. The perversion of Paul's defense of the resurrection illustrates the evil of explaining such mysteries. The virgin birth. The Lord laid claim to deity. Chapter 5 The Testimony of the First Gospel. The distinctive characteristics of the four Gospels. Matthew and John compared. The Sermon on the Mount was a claim to deity in Matt 11, 16, and 24. The Lord laid claim to deity. Dr. Edersheim and is a 63-silly Billy on the Trinity. Chapter 6 The Testimony of the Fourth Gospel. The omissions of the Fourth Gospel and evidence of inspiration. The purpose of the Fourth Gospel. The Arian conception of a subordinate God was due to paganism. Passages in John to illustrate the Lord's claim to deity. His deity proved by the resurrection of Lazarus, and by the Apostles' miracles. Chapter 7 The Testimony of James and the Hebrews. Edersheim quoted in illustration of it character, value, and date of James's epistle, and his testimony to the deity. The testimony of Hebrews character and authorship of Hebrews, and Paul's connection with it. If Christ be not God, he must be a creature. The indirect evidence of the deity. The faith of the first disciples. Chapter 8 The Testimony of the Apostle Paul. The testimony of spiritualism to inspiration. The training of a prophet. The Apostle Paul's sufferings. His stoning at Lystra. His thorn in the flesh. His turning to Jerusalem. His personality and antecedents lend weight to his testimony to the deity. Quotations from his epistles. Chapter 9 The Testimony of the Revelation. The unity of Scripture exemplified by revelation. Importance of the book. It refutes a Christ after the flesh religion. The present-day attacks on Scripture. The apocalyptic visions establish the deity. The only tenable alternative stated in the language of the new theology. Chapter 10 For the sake of his name. The Lord's claim to deity, and to divine honor. Prevailing irreverence in naming him. Christendom copies the Jewish exorcist's Queen Victoria's letters. The mode in which the Lord is named in the Gospels, and in the epistles. The practice of Paul, and of Peter. A closing appeal for reverence. Chapter 11 The Revelation of Grace, and the Life to Come. The Eden promise. The primeval revelation and ancient mythologies. The seeming incredibility of Christianity. The faith that overcomes the world conventional beliefs and real faith. Organized Christianity has failed. The Christian revelation apparently falsified by facts. The explanation of this grace a lost truth. The Lord in the synagogue of Nazareth. The day of grace, and the day of vengeance. Punitive action against sin awaits. The day of judgment. A pandemonium and a bonfire that the Church will convert the world is a grotesque figment. The coming of Christ is the hope of both Church and world. Conclusion. Appendix. Note to Chapter 4. The argument of Arius, and the answer to it. The false inferences based on the word only begotten. The virgin birth. Why it is not mentioned in the epistles. The meaning of the word firstborn, prototokos, and the passages in which the word occurs. Note to Chapter 10. Illustrative publications, a syllabus of addresses, a theological work, a publisher's circular, and a book of piety. The rationalistic character of modern theological works. Irreverence in naming the Lord. The practice of the Fathers. The mode in which the Lord is named in the Gospels, and in Acts and the epistles. Comments on the prevailing practice. The Lord's death, till he come. Our hymnology. Safe in Jehovah's keeping.